Yeah, this character. This funny little character. This is Yecilda. She's a war cleric of Tempest. And her backstory, okay, so essentially when I was making the character, I fucked up. I got what year it was confused. And when I was writing my backstory, she was a general at Chundef. And if you know D&D lore, there's a huge problem with them being from Chondif. Ah, the dogs. Hello, dogs. Okay, so every night at 11 till about 2 a.m., our neighbor's dog barks like for no reason, and they do nothing about it. It's horrible. I hate it. But anyway, back to the story. Back to the story. Um, so if you know D&D lore, Chondif um, existed a very long time ago, and then it fucking didn't because something called the spell plague happened, where the aftermath is a bunch of places in D&D are in another either in another dimension now, or they don't fucking exist anymore. They're just fucking destroyed, and Chundef is one of them. So I had to come up with a fucking way that not only did she survive that, but also wasn't there at the time that it happened. So the backstory was the backstory was that she um, was on leave because she's a very aggressive person. So she was on like leave, and during that leave, instead of vacationing, she just did like hire work as an adventurer, and she went into these ruins with an adventuring party. Um, and since she was a high ranking officer, the dude, like the boss at the end of the dungeon, was like, "I'm gonna use imprison on you," or whatever the spell was. I forget what it's called. It's the thing that happened to Volo, and trap you in ice, not ice, like in magic shit, and then ransom you, and then essentially a cave in happened, and like the dude couldn't get back to her, so she was like encased for like thousands of years. And eventually, another dungeon adventuring party like showed up, rescued her. But because of like the fact that she was conscious for all those years, she kind of went fucking crazy. But like not in like the normal way. She kind of had this delusion that her god Tempest. Yeah, yeah. So it was an NP. It was backstory stuff, which me and the DM agreed to it because I realized I fucked up, and our DM was like, okay, so we're gonna say that it was like a really powerful lich that was down there. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of cast from JoJo now that I think about it. Yeah, it was a DM decision. It wasn't like an NPC kind of doing it. It was like all backstory. And so her delusion that she had while she was like conscious for all those years was that her god had saved her from death and intervened, and that he Tempest had come down and was like, Yecilda, I you and I are going to be wed and etc. And she believed she was like engaged to the god of war. So she kind of became this really like unhinged kind of like, yeah, my boyfriend Tempest. And I remember when she first met the party, they had kind of come from the sky, and she had received this divine vision, or at least she thought that people were gonna like come from the sky, and she was gonna help them, and then Tempest was gonna like show up and shit. And then conveniently that happened. Like the people fell from the sky, but fell from the sky means that they got transported there by like cloud giants, but still. So she joined the party, and for the longest time she was this really like kind of fucked up person. Um, who was like madly in love with her god, and eventually, through like the party leader Joran, kind of like had a few heart to hearts for her, and very slowly, she was kind of like, I remember one time, it was during night watch. It was really peaceful time, and she turned to Joran and she said, "I don't think I'm okay." And that was the first time she realized, hey, I think there's something wrong with me. I think I'm not the person that I used to be. And she ends up writing all these like in case I die kind of wills things, and eventually she kind of formed a bond with this party member Flogter, who was a Goliath that had joined the party. Like, he was kind of the nicest to her, so like he was kind of her first friend, and she like she like yandere, but like not like romance love, because she's only like got feelings for Tempest, but like a friend yandere attached to Flogter. It was kind of wholesome. And all kinds of wacky adventures happened, and she started having character development. And okay, I really fucking hope Noah is in the chat, because sometimes Noah likes to like pop into my streams and say hi. But my friend Noah, he was playing Larimar, the druid. We were in these. I don't remember what the area is. It was somewhere near, what's it called? It's where Luna's from. What's it called? Silver. It was somewhere near Silvery Moon. It's like an ice tundra. And Larimar was like, "I'm a druid. I'm gonna go turn into a spider and go say hi to the other spiders." And she went up to the other spiders and was like, "Click clack, I'm a spider." And they realized that she wasn't part of their spider group, and then they went to attack her. And Lauren was like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." And she like scuttled away and led the horde of giant spiders. But by horde, I don't mean like, oh, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I mean a fucking horde. There were so fucking many. So many spiders, like, just following her back to the camp. And I added my backstory because I thought it wouldn't ever become fucking relevant. If you add something to your backstory, the DM will always find a way to make it relevant. Even though this was like a pre-written campaign, the DM had no idea. Yecilda had severe arachnophobia just from like being encased like underground and kind of like having spiders crawl over her, like quote unquote over her, like for thousands of years. It kind of reminded her of that time of being helpless and like the person she used to be, that kind of thing. So like her, like the spiders being here, my character had like the frightened effect. So like I had disadvantage on melee hits. So a lot of the time I was just standing back throwing guiding bolts and like using cantrips because she just didn't want to deal with that shit. Which is pretty fucking funny. And I remember immediately after the battle end, Druid just turns to Larimer, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck did you do?" And Larimer was like, "I was just saying hi to the spiders." We have never let Noah live that down. Like whenever Larimer wants to go like alone somewhere, we're just like, yeah, no. Like Larimer and Luna are two characters that should never be alone, but somehow they can be like somehow they balance each other out. Like if Larimer and Luna are together alone, they won't do stupid shit. But like alone, they like Larimer will cause like one time. This is back when I was running Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I added this extra thing to Waterdeep Dragon Heist because I felt the Black Viper wasn't as important as the Black Viper should have been. So I made it this big like mystery kind of thing, like vigilante mystery thing. I kind of changed how the Black Viper worked a bunch. So the players were trying to uncover the identity of the Black Viper, and what Larimer thought to do, because they suspected, spoilers, they expected Esvele Rosnia of being it. So they Larimer turned into a tiny spider. Yeah, okay. She bought a bunch of letters. She turned herself into a tiny spider. She put herself in a letter, and then she used. I don't remember what she used, but she ended up somehow encasing herself in the letter, like a pre-written letter, and got it to be delivered to Esvele's father, like Lord Rosnia. And Noah didn't think this through. So Lord Rosnia opens the letter, sees a spider, he whacks the spider, and then Noah, well, slash Larimer turns back into Larimer, and they. Well, Lord Rosnia, even though Larimer's a friend, Lord Rosnia is like, "Yeah, no, what the fuck, I'm getting the guards." That's fucking weird. And Durin managed to get Larimer out of fucking jail sentence on the agreement that she wasn't allowed to set foot into that ward without like an escort. That was just fucking funny. But anyway, back to Yecilda. Anyway, so was really attached to Flogta, and then Flogta ended up, if I remember correctly, from the Waterdeep campaign, he ended up having a wife, and can't tell that story on stream, but he also had a bunch of, like, she was pregnant, and he was like, oh shit, I have to like come back from this adventure now because my wife's gonna give birth pretty soon, and I want to be there for it. So Flogta left, and he got replaced with a hexblade warlock, I believe it was. And this hexblade warlock was called Zoltan, and this is a cleric of Tempest and a warlock. Yecilda doesn't quite grasp warlocks because in my backstory, well, there's a lot of propaganda going on against warlocks. With Yecilda's backstory, she straight up believed that a lot of warlocks were demon worshippers, and since Zoltan's patron was in fact a demon, she was like, "This is a fucking devil worship. We have a fucking heretic in our party on our airship." And also, that party member replaced my best friend, so I fucking hate him like no matter what. And like before we started this whole thing, I talked to the player. His name is Dylan, and I was like, "Dylan, is it okay if we have like a very severe rivalry that might end with one of us dying?" And Dylan looks at me and was like, "Yes, I am 100% cool with this." And I was like, "Good." And for a long time, they were like back and forth, like Zoltan was like, "Oh, I've done this thing," and he sort of was like, "Oh, great. How does your demon daddy feel about that?" And he was just like, "Oh, fuck you." And eventually, because we were doing Storm King's Thunder, I don't remember entirely what happened, but these enemies we fought had like a young, I think it was it a blue dragon? It was got like a wormling. It was like a baby blue dragon. I adjust my mic quickly. The dogs are barking very loud, and I don't particularly want to like damage your ears, your precious ears, chat. Not right now. Maybe a different day I'll like break your fucking ears, but like not now. Not today. Not today, chat. Not today. But anyway, they had like these like baby dragons. Like I think they were blue dragons. So like fucking dangerous. They're chromatic Wait, is it chromatic? Yeah, the chromatic dragons. They're fucking dangerous. And we were trying to decide what to do with that dragon. And Larimar, who's a druid, was like, "We should fucking keep it." And Yecilda, who ever since she was a baby, ever since she was little Yecilda, she was like, "I want to be a fucking dragon rider." So Yecilda was like, "Yes, we're keeping it." And Joran was like, "I don't know. Looking after a baby is difficult." And Larimar and Yecilda were just like, "We'll bathe it, and we'll pet it, and we'll clean up its poop, and we'll feed it." And then Joran was like, "Yeah, sure." Joran is a dragonborn from Tiamatha, so she understands the tyranny of dragons. She's got all this backstory involving blood magic, so she's very, very wary when it comes to chromatic. Exactly. The chromatic dragons are usually evil. That's where this story goes. And Joran's just kind of in her chambers after we brought the wormling back onto the airship. And I don't remember. I think it was Joran that used a spell to read its mind, kind of, and it definitely wanted to fucking kill us. Like not kill us, but it was definitely quite hostile to us. It liked me and Larimar because we were feeding it and kind of looking after it, but it definitely wasn't like fucking like, "Oh, my master." No, it was like, "Feed me, feed me. I enjoy your company because you feed me, but when I am older, I'm going to torch Waterdeep to the ground, and I'm going to kill you." It definitely was hostile, but Larimbra and Yecilda were like, "No, like nurture over nature." And we had this big long like debate about whether or not we should kill it. And then eventually, Okay, so Larimar and Yecilda had made a secret plan where at night we were going to set it free into the wilds and whatever the fuck happened, whatever like happened. And then at night, Yecilda goes because she had night one. She was going to go free the dragon, and she finds it fucking dead, and Zoltan standing over it. Zoltan had fucking killed the dragon, and she was fucking pissed. But she understood, but she was pissed. And then one night watch, Yecilda and Zoltan were like on watch together, and Yecilda just turns to Zoltan and it's like, "So what do I call you now? Zoltan Dragon Slayer or Zoltan Infant Slayer?" and like everyone was like, "Well, what the like cow? Damn, that's some fucking hardcore banter." And Zoltan was like, "What the fuck? Like, what the fuck is your problem with me?" And just sort of was like, "You're a fucking demon worshipper. You've replaced my best friend. You killed my dragon. You've been hostile. No, not hostile. You've been rude to me ever since you came here." And then Zoltan was like, "You want to fucking kill me? Fine. You know what? Let's go." And we had like a, what's it called? Like a spar. So we were like attacking each other, and we had an agreement. Well, Yecilda and Zoltan had an agreement that we'd fight until we couldn't fight anymore. Like meta wise, we were going to fight until we were on like 1 HP, right? So that was the agreement. And then like bolts are flying, and not a duel to the death, but a duel until one of us falls unconscious or is close to. And Yecilda had all this like healing magic prepared, so she could have like she had revivify, so if he did quote unquote die, she could like bring him back. And bolts were flying, guiding bolts and fucking shield clashes and all that shit, and it woke everyone up. And everyone came upstairs, and they were like, because like it's a double layer airship, and they were like, "Oh, they're sparring. This is probably good for them because they'll get it out of the system." And Yecilda won, but Zoltan was a fucking stubborn piece of shit, and he didn't concede. So Yecilda knocks him down, and she's waiting, and she's like, "Come on, get the fuck back up," because she thinks that he's like trying to like psych her out and like make her think that he's dead. So she comes up to him, and then he can like finish her. And he's sort of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then our DM starts counting down, like no context. He's like, 3, no, like 5, 4. Zoltan, wake up. 3. Zoltan, this isn't fucking funny. 2. And then you sort of runs over, revivifies him, because like I as a player and Yecilda as a character realized, oh shit, he's dying. And I brought him back up. And then we it was just like, it was a good fight, and we kind of worked it out of our system, kind of like there was still the rivalry, but it was more friendly. And then a bunch of other stuff happened. I can't remember quite what, but I just remembered the sad part of the story. Okay, so there was this festival that was on, and it was really fun, and everyone went, and Yecilda opened up a shit ton. And she revealed like her entire backstory to Durin because she trusted her. Durin is the party mom, and so she was at this bar, and this guy was flirting with her. And Yecilda, because she was super drunk and she was slightly more sane, she was starting to. It was the Festival of Love, I remember, and there was a pie eating contest, but the pies had like wild magic infused into them. Oh, it was fucking great. I remember that. It was so fun. And Yecilda won the pie eating contest and like won a bunch of money. And she was like, "Yeah, my Tempest fucking blessed me," because it was like a couples contest, and she like her +1 was Tempest, and everyone was like, "That's fucking weird," but all right. But anyway, she got super duper drunk at the bar, and this guy was flirting with her, and she was like, "Why the fuck not?" And then our DM handles sexual encounters in D very, very well. It is fade to black, and it's good. It's straight up. Okay, you go back to his place, fade to black, and I very much appreciate it. It makes the whole thing not uncomfortable. It still happens, and all the other players don't have to listen to it. It's great. So that happened, and the DM rolled a secret percentile dice. Keep that in mind, the secret percentile dice, because this story takes a fucking grim turn. So, a bunch of other stuff happened after that. Oh no. Oh no, it wasn't fun. I have fucking nightmares about what happened. A bunch of other stuff happened that I can't quite remember. But Yecilda was feeling kind of down because she had like convinced herself, yes, I need mental help. Something is very wrong with me. And in fact, at the next town, she was gonna like switch out for another party member because she was gonna like figure out her life. And I was gonna play a new cleric. And Yecilda and Zoltan are on night watch again. And Yecilda was still pissed off about the dragon thing. She had not forgiven him from that. She was very, very pissed off. Especially because we were going to bury it, and he ended up like throwing it overboard instead of fucking letting us do that shit. She was like super fucking mad because like she all she fucking wants from him is an apology. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm very tired," and she touched him, and I'm like, "Make a save," and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Make a save," because I was casting. My idea was the airship is moving in air, and I'm going to cast Banish on him. And since we're at the very edge of the airship, if I cast Banish on him, when he reappears, the airship would have moved and he'll be over the edge. But he had like the spell Fly prepared, and Yecilda knew that, so he would have been fine. And he makes the save, and he cast like he had like some ability that was like basically let me like made me see my worst nightmare. So he tried to use that shit on me because he realized I was casting banish, tried to cast banishment, and that failed. And I was like, and you still would have realized what he was trying to do. I was like, listen, you know what? This isn't funny. Let's take this seriously. We're on night watch. We saw another dragon not too long ago. You didn't kill that one, but you killed a baby. Good job. Apparently, you can only kill children and infants, and not the dragons we actually have to kill. And then you sort of was like, so let's just pat each other on the back and act like adults. And I tried to use banish again, and this time Zoltan was super pissed off. So I don't remember quite what happened, but you sort of did something really, really bad. And this time Zoltan was like actually fucking pissed. And you sort of was like, oh, we're having another, like she thought, oh, we're having another spar again. So she keeps throwing insults at him and tries to attack him. And then something happened. He cast a spell. I don't remember what it is. We were quite high level at this point. And he summoned, I think it was called, it's not a Balrog. Balrog's Lord of the Rings. I think it starts with B. It's like a monkey demon. He summons that. And the monkey demon is under his command as long as he like rolls this dice within a certain amount. And you're sort of like, oh, I'm fighting this demon now. Cool. And then a bunch of stuff happened, and the demon ended up grappling Yecilda, and she couldn't break out. And then Zoltan gives one final command. Jump. And he's sort of fucking panicking. He's like, wait, what? And the demon that is holding me jumps off the side of the airship. And by the way, all the players got woken up by the fighting again. Especially so they were kind of like, oh, the sparring again, whatever, we'll try to go back to sleep. But then when they heard the demon roar and the jump, they were like, what the fuck? And they came up, and they came up just in time to see this demon, like, that Zoltan's controlling, jump off the side of the airship. And then they're like, what the fuck? And Zoltan gets restrained. Char had these boots of flying, so he like dives off the airship to try to help me. And we had this falling rule mechanic. I can't remember what it was. Basically, there was no way that Char was ever going to catch up to me. And Yecilda's like in midair fighting off this demon, and Char's like doing his best to try to catch Yecilda, like grab Yecilda. And she eventually kills the demon, which is fucking epic. And Char's like diving down. He's going so fast that like we're going to hit the ground. And if he hits the ground too, he's dead. And he sort of looks up at Char and smiles and says, it's okay. Let me go. and then she hits the ground, and there's just this bloody fucking mess everywhere. It is a scene from a horror movie because she fell very fucking far that you would not be able to tell, like, other than the clothing, you would not tell that used to be a person. And at the very last, like, when he realizes that she's gone, he activates his boots of flying and lands next to her, and the party like docks the airship, and Zoltan's like restrained and like in the brig basically, and the party, no, yes, 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 the party performs an autopsy eventually. Well, not an autopsy, basically one of them figures out that there was a second human that died, a second being that died. It's very fucking sad. And they also find this stack of letters that Yecilda had written. I had typed them before the session because I wanted Yecilda to have like a will if she died. I didn't know she was gonna die, but I had a feeling that she's reckless enough that she will die. And a lot of it, each part was dedicated to a party member. I don't have the letters on me anymore, but I printed them out, and I brought them to secretly to every single session. um and basically, the first part, each one was like for a player character. One was for Joran, which basically was like, I really appreciate you listening to me. I'm sorry that I'm really messed up. I'm gonna do my best to recover. If I die, I want you to like name a drink after me in your tavern. And Larimar was basically like, you're a goofball. You, you're both wise and childish. Like, I consider you a younger sister. This and that. It was to Char. It was telling Char to man the fuck up. To like ask Joran out because it wasn't because she thought they'd make a good couple. The idea was that with Duran's like magic and Char's like fighting ability, because he's a monk, that they'd make a very that they'd make a very strong child. So it was like to make a genetically powerful soldier was her ideal. Uh, and Char fucking cried reading it because it was a very nice letter. And about one of the lines that you sort of said was, "I'm glad I didn't kill you when I first met you, because when we first met Char, he was with a bunch of bandits, and we managed to get him on our side." And Char was fucking crying because he felt like he failed to save her. He felt like that if he had only jumped off a second sooner, if he had only responded when the fighting first started, instead of assuming they were sparring, if he had only dashed faster, he could have saved her. That fucked him up for like life. Um, and there was one for Flocta, and basically it was Yecilda being like, "If you're reading this, I am dead. I would like to hope that I came to your wedding, and that I was able to see your new child. I would like to hope that they got to meet their auntie Yecilda. But if not, I would like to dedicate 100% of my earnings from the adventure, like my take of the adventure, as a wedding gift to you." And it was it was very long, and it was basically how like Flocta was her first friend, and about how like a simple gesture of buying me a shield like just changed my perspective on humanity completely. And it was a very lovely letter. And when I found, I was kind of a bastard. When I found out how Yecilda died, I added a little bit of like red paint splotches to the letters, which he. I'm a little bit of a dick for doing that. And there was that there was one more letter, which was just to Zoltan, and it was a very short letter. It just said, "Fuck you. I hope you die, you devil worshipping piece of shit," and that was it. And yeah, and that was the end of Yecilda. They had a funeral, and with how did she know? The idea was that after the spider incident, she was freaked the fuck out and realized that she could die at any moment. So she wrote like a will after that. So the will was very inaccurate. Um, but yeah, I added little red paint splotches when I found out I died. I was like, I need to use the bathroom, and then I like did that with some paint that we had. But anyway, Zoltan. After that shit, Zoltan was handed into the authorities, and the DM let Dylan keep playing as Zoltan for a little bit in a prison break kind of scenario. He was trying to break out, and this is the funny part. This is the part that like we were all crying, and then we laughed for like 2 seconds, and then went back to crying. Zoltan was trying to get the cuffs off because he was like chained to a wall basically, and he ended up like dislocating his wrist, got his hands out of the cuffs, and then died of fucking shock because he like took enough damage from like breaking his own wrist intentionally to like kill him. Not kill him, to like get him into the dying state. And no one was able to like assist him, and he ended up failing his role. So yeah, he died of fucking shock in prison. Fucking, you fucking deserved it, you piece of shit. And then the canon was that Zoltan kind of went a little bit mad with his patron kind of influencing his mind a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty fucking anticlimactic. What our DM hoped he was gonna escape and then he would become a villain later on. But yeah, instead he died of shock, and we were like, Yecilda's dead. That's so fucked up. You fucking died of shock, you piece of shit.